New York's CLCPA, one of the strictest climate laws in the US, was passed in 2019 primarily with the goal of lowering carbon emissions. Now, 5 years later, carbon emissions are actually higher. In the last 2 decades, fossil fuel use was never lower in New York State than in 2019, when both of Indian Point nuclear power plant's reactors were still online. There's a lesson to be learned here. Since the shutdown of the last nuclear power plant operational downstate, we have higher carbon emissions, higher electricity prices, and a higher chance of power outages throughout the state. Previously, NYSERDA, one of the major organizations in New York, our independent system operator, has described this with a kind of highbrow Dickensian phrase: instead of a tale of two cities, a tale of two grids. We all know that upstate and downstate have these economic, cultural, political divides. In upstate, maybe they don't care as much about climate change as downstate. Nonetheless, in upstate New York, they have a 90% clean grid with 3 operational nuclear power plants. Meanwhile, downstate New York now has a 90% fossil fuel grid after shutting down all their nuclear power plants. So there's a clear moral to be learned here. Again, the primary goal of the CLCPA is 100% zero-emission electricity by 2040, but the specific type of zero-emission electricity does not matter. We should just use what works. And so we feel that New York's climate policy is overestimating the capabilities of renewables like solar and wind, while underestimating the need for nuclear, especially new nuclear. So if you care about the rapid electrification of vehicles, of buildings, of heavy machinery, if you care about smartphones and tablets and smartwatches, if you care about the rise of data centers and cryptocurrency and AI, or if you care about desalination plants or hydrogen electrolyzers or hydrogen fuel cells or carbon capture tech, all of this has one thing in common: it requires a huge growing supply of zero-emission electricity on the grid. And there is just one candidate capable of scaling up to the level that we need today. Very simply, nuclear is the most reliable source of zero-emission energy, and it requires the least land, the least materials, the least new transmission lines, the least backup, and the least reliance on foreign supply chains of any other zero-emission source. And really, it's a bipartisan issue at the national level. Democrats are pro-nuclear now, Republicans are pro-nuclear. It should be a nonpartisan issue. We should just use what works, and nuclear energy works. If you want to find out more, we are Nuclear New York. You can find us at nuclearny.org or come to our conference later this month in New York City on September 25th. Thank you.